From WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to Beat the Champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Paul Peck, along with Hall of Fame bowler Sue Novoitsky, and welcome to this special edition of Beat the Champ. We have had a lot of fun over the last 5 years, taking this sport to another level, seeing all the outstanding bowlers in Western New York, and seeing the reaction from the bowling community has been great as well.
Absolutely. There's so many great bowlers in this community that don't do this for a living, but still come out here and perform on the weekends as if they do it for a living. And, and as far as the community goes, I get so much input from everyone, and we have seen so many great matches throughout the years that it's fun to actually look back and see a couple of them from time to time.
All right, so here we go. It's the best of Beat the Champ.
Okay, Revenge of the Rocket.
Well, that's what Rob's hoping for anyway. Should be a good match. I think it should be very similar to last week's finale with Greg Wojtowicz. I think Rob's going to play a similar part of the lane. They have very similar styles. Mm-hmm. Just be a matter of executing shots right now.
Rob lost to Mike at Rapids earlier in the year, so that's why we're saying Revenge of the Rocket.
That's a great start.
Yep. But you're right, I think this comes down to playing where you're comfortable playing or according to your own game, but it requires shot making.
Yeah. Rob doesn't have the kind of game that he's going to be able to get in the left and throw it right. So he's got to do what he does best. He just might have to, be a little sharper on his target.
Right.
So he might not have as much forgiveness. Mike's trying the two-ball trick again. It looks. I think with Mike, he just runs into a little bit of trouble on the right-hand lane because I don't think he can get quite as deep with his feet. So it looks like he was looking for a ball that didn't hook quite as much.
Makes a ton of sense.
That ball got to the right a little quick and just kind of ran out of energy at the end.
It did, yeah. And at least if that's going to be a worse shot, then that's
if
going
you
to put him in a good spot.
have a little error, you want to be shooting single pins for sure. The cluster spares are never fun. I was going to say that with trouble.
Oh.
Yeah. He didn't like it right off his hand.
I think he rushed that a little bit.
Sometimes you shoot so many in your lifetime, you just get a little careless sometimes.
Well, I think oftentimes you get caught thinking about that last shot, and
it's easy to do.
You think that you take that 10-pin or you take that 1-pin spare for granted, and you're still caught up in the shot that left it and bad results. Wow.
That's exactly what you want to do when your opponent opens. It gives you an opening like that. You want to take advantage.
He creates some serious pin action, that boy.
He gets the ball down there in a hurry. Which is good or bad. I mean, when there's some friction on the lane, having the higher ball speed, I think, becomes an advantage for him. But I'm sure he struggles a little bit when the lanes are tight or the pattern's long.
And that he's been on the show where the pattern was a little bit tighter. Obviously, not as tight as as it can be, but he has worked on slowing his ball speed down when he needs to, and it's been a
great shot
help
there.
To his game. Yeah, what a shot.
That's exactly what you want to do when you come out against Mike. You want to be the one putting on the heat and have him chase you.
Right, he's got 3 wins here on Beat the Champ, Rob, and compared to 34 now for Mike. Mike's got a lot of experience, made 30 shows. Great shot.
Looks like, at least for the time being, he's got the right lane figured out, which I think is going to be, was the key for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, when he bowled Greg last week, he struck every shot in the left lane, which fortunately he got the finish on. But it was the right lane that gave him a little bit of a trouble.
It's just kind of wild how you can throw a good shot, hit the pocket, and find yourself down 32 just by missing that spare.
Doesn't take much.
And we talk about the importance of spares, right?
Yeah.
That's 32 pins down already.
It doesn't get you every time, but I'd say 80 to 90% of the time you miss a spare in a single pin, especially a single pin in a one-game match. They tend to get you. Let's see how Rob fares on this right lane. About as good as you can do.
Yep. Seems like he's just trying not to do much to it.
No, he's just keeping it right in front of him.
Right.
You know, his projection down the lane is very straight. I think after the first couple shows, lanes have changed enough where now where Chuck struggled in the first show on the fresh part, there's a little bit of friction now that Rob can use to get his ball to slow down and read the lane proper. That's the one thing that probably gets Rob a lot. Yeah, I call that's almost like a speed 10-pin. His ball gets down there a little quick, and there's a chance to
Is
pick
that
up
like
that.
born from deflection?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, you know, it's not that late break that you'll often see on a 10-pin like that.
It's the lack of break sometimes.
Oh.
For any of the kids at home, I mean,
Can't get revenge that way.
No, that's giving away your chances for sure. But between PBA shows early in the year, these shows here from this week, I mean, yeah, it gets monotonous after a while. But spare shooting is a big part of this game, and it gets overlooked.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
I'm looking at the rack right now, trying to figure out which is which down there.
It's the middle one is Mike's spare ball.
Okay.
You'll have to trust me on that one.
I do. You're the expert.
I got just a little wide edge, just enough ball to get back and get a tickler. Keep an 11-pin lead.
A tickler, that might be one that we didn't touch on.
Hey, gotta try and bring something new and fresh every once in a while. Crazy how the lanes have flip-flopped for Mike in a way. Last week, striking every shot on the left lane, struggling on the right lane a little bit. This week, starting out totally the other way. But he made a nice ball change on the right lane. Staying with the ball he used last week on the left lane.
On the left lane.
That's not good.
No, I don't know that I've liked that ball on lane 7.
Not this
Awfully
week. Not this week. Yeah.
snappy off that.
And it's just amazing how things can change so quickly in modern bowling lane conditions. And Mike agrees.
Yes.
212 max. Rob right now is working on a 217 pace. All he really has to do is just stay clean.
Mm-hmm.
Strike Harold, give him a little margin for error.
There's Castellone Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard again. As you can see, Rob has the opportunity to pull away from Mike here with a strike.
Came up and out of that one a little bit. Won his best, just probably a little quick with the timing.
He's kept it great in play though.
Well, that's the forte of Rob's game. I mean, he's not really going to spray it around too much. Keeps it pretty simple. I think with Rob, it's just trying to match up the ball to the lane as far as how much ball he needs. He is a little speed dominant, so he's gonna be using stronger balls most all the time. They're gonna have to really get hooking for him to have the ball down to something a little bit weaker.
Right.
right now,
25-pin match.
his job is just to keep it in the pocket. Keep it in the pocket, fill your frames, and move on to the next game. Rob's actually had it pretty even on both lanes. I mean, he seemed to have a pretty good line in the pocket on both. Oh, that one got a little right. Pretty fortunate there to get back, get a piece of the head pin there. That could have easily been wash out to a 10 kind of shot there. Very fortunate to come away with a 9 spare.
Uncharacteristic for him to miss by that much, and then.
And sometimes you wonder, you don't know what's in a guy's head, but he probably knows that he's in a position to maybe close this thing out. Got a little amped up a little bit. Maybe he's thinking about the revenge.
Yep, the revenge of the rocket.
Now, right now, I mean, this is must-strike situation for Mike. I mean, he's got to throw the next 3 here, just put any kind of make Rob show up in the 10th frame for a mark.
Whoa.
The paralyzer. Oh God, that's scary. But that was a must-have. I mean,
Well, most of what I've learned from you, so expect the same thing to come out of our mouth.
see what kind of move he makes on this lane. Look like he got a little further left. Great shot.
What a great shot when you need it.
Yeah, been definitely struggling on that lane. Looked like he took a little step left, kept it in nice.
Shaking his head a little.
Well, I'm sure he's a little.
Too late.
Well, he knows he's in trouble. I mean, he's got to have a lot of things go his way right now, and I'm sure he's wondering what happened on that lane, why he didn't make that move quicker. But again, pretty much a must-have situation right here. All he could do now is just for Rob, it's just going to be a matter of 8 pins on the first ball. He'll be a winner. If we were in Vegas, I'd say his chances are good, but I was never a very good gambler.
What? I thought that went with the bowling territory.
So, the gambling probably does, yes. Not all of them are good. I've seen I've seen a few of them.
All right, so
Rob right now needs 8 on the first ball.
8 on the first ball will complete the revenge of the rocket.
And there it is.
And Rob comes back to defeat Mike Zarcone after he took his beating on it from him at Rapids. We'll be back to talk to Mike right after this. Got held up a little bit there on your good lane, right? Lane 7, which was good for you all day, kind of turned around on you, didn't it?
Yes, it did. When I lost the left lane, I knew I was in trouble.
You got the right lane, but that didn't help much, did it?
No, it was a little too late. But Rob bowled good. Can't take that away from him.
Yes, he did. And you're now held up at 34, which you're getting a little, you're pulling away a little bit. And 34 wins on this is an awful lot, Mike. That's some great bowling.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. I'm going to take your money.
Congratulations, nice run.
Thank you, sir.
And nice bowling today. Thanks for coming down, as always.
Thank you.
All right, well, we're going to see you next week in the doubles with Maddie Zazowski, the killer MZs or whatever Paul calls it. All right, you rest up. We'll see you next week, and we'll be back with our next match. Our next contender for Rocket Rob is Jayson Schubbe, dressed up in his oranges, his Sunday orange.
Yeah. Well, unlike Ricky Fowler, this is more a tribute to the Buffalo Bandits.
Really now?
Big lacrosse fan, I guess.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. Us bowlers, we like all kinds of different things. Good opening shot. Definitely looks like he's a little bit further left than Mike was on that lane. So maybe that'll give him a little better hook to the pocket. I think he will have a little trouble maybe on the right-hand lane because I don't think he's going to be able to stand
That far
that
deep.
far. Yeah, so he'll have to make some sort of adjustment. I know he's been watching him on the warm-up pair. He was messing around a little bit trying to stay in front of the ball return.
Oh, wow.
Fortunately, he takes 4 steps, shorter steps for the most part, so he might be able to. We'll say that's the one thing about the modern game today with a lot of the young kids, how many of them have learned how to stand in front of the ball return, especially when they have to get into nowadays they get into 6th arrow and so many of these tournament conditions. And
I know, I mean, growing up, we never saw that.
If I ever
And I
got
know
left
on
of the middle
tour-
arrow, it was really drastic.
You started dealing with that a long time ago on tour, though.
It used to get
On
me
those
off.
long format events, right? That
Yeah.
used to happen.
Yeah. When it's the 3-squad tournaments where you're bowling 8 games each round, so when you had the C squad at night, they've already had 20 games on them. Rob just doing his thing, piping up the track. Very simple game plan.
And his demeanor always stays the same. He's not.
Yeah, he's pretty.
He's not a high or low guy.
He seems like he's one of those guys you couldn't read whether he's bowling good or not. Just kind of goes about his thing. Just another day. And I think in this atmosphere, that's actually it's a great demeanor to have. And a great start for the Rocket.
Yeah, he's looking tough. You said there was a lot more high rev players, a lot more players today inside. That was changing that inside up quite a bit. That, coupled with his ball speed.
In a lot of cases, I know sometimes the lower rev guy sometimes gets handcuffed as the lanes break down and as shot moves in, and it usually seems to tend to open up for the power player. Doesn't always happen.
Right.
And this is a case where in the beginning, a couple weeks ago, Chuck on the fresh had a little trouble. His ball was definitely not. I think if Chuck was playing now, he'd probably have a little more success. So again, where you fall in the lineup and everything sometimes comes into play.
Well, we'll see all the big guns next week. Chuck will be back to.
Should be a fun show, the double
to
show.
bowl doubles, yeah, and.
Got a good cast of characters. Hopefully they'll make it for an interesting show.
Yeah, they put together some solid teams there next week. They put Mike Zarcone will be with Matt Zazowski, who was a regular fixture on the show for a long time. We know how talented he is, and Chuck with his buddy Fran Bax, who's normally his Uber driver, but will be his partner this time. It should be an interesting match. There's a lot of personality going on in that match.
That's a unique combination right there for sure. That one was really good off Rob's hand. You can tell sometimes with him, when he misses his release at the bottom, you can see that one was really crisp. I think if Rob has anything, that he probably gets a little quick sometimes, and when he gets a little quick, it'll be just a little flat off his hand. Good start to this match. This is where Rob wants to just trying to keep the heat on Jayson.
When it comes to bowling balls, when you're a player like this with a little more ball speed and tend to play more down and in, how do you know what balls to choose under those circumstances?
Again, I mean, you're going to have, there's a ratio, a speed to rev rate ratio that you want to be matched up. I mean, if you have slower ball speed and had a high rev rate, that's really not a good situation because your ball's going to want to hook too soon, hook too much. If you have really high ball speed and no rev rate, you don't usually create enough hook. So trying to get a good match. I mean, I would consider Rob to be probably just a little bit speed dominant. I mean, he doesn't have bad rev rate, but he probably throws a little faster than what his rev rate would be, considered a good match. So that's going to lead Rob into stronger balls, more surface. He could probably stay with the asymmetric type of designs in most cases, and it looks like most of his balls are, because he wants, he gets a little help from the core inside of the ball. Jayson being a stronger rev rate guy, the Liz Johnson.
Way different angle entry there.
Yes. Jayson will probably have an arsenal of more medium to weaker type balls.
Because his ball speed isn't super fast.
No. No,
he doesn't throw it that hard.
He would probably be just slightly on the rev dominant side, where his rev rate may be just a little high for speed, but nothing that's too far out of what you're looking for as an ideal matchup.
So you feel when someone comes into the shop to say drill a bowling ball, wow,
Great
nice
shot
job.
there.
How do you determine their rev rate?
Well, fortunately, just through experience, if you get a trained eye in a way,
You still look
see.
at tracks?
Oh yeah, you use the track on somebody's ball to try and get an access point. Fortunately nowadays, Ebonite has a device called Bowler ID, which you can put a sensor inside a bowling ball and get some of those details, which is really good because if I have the opportunity to get somebody on the lane with the demo balls with the Bowler ID, we can actually have them throw 6, 8, 10 shots, and the sensor, connected to a computer, and it'll tell you what their speed is, what their rev rate is, what their access point is, and stuff. So you can get nowadays, technology and everything. I mean, we can get a little more specific. It is, it does require some time. It's a bit of an investment, but you can get a lot more accurate information nowadays using something like that. But if you don't have that luxury, you get somebody out on lanes, do it the old-fashioned way. We watch them throw a ball, get the oil ring on their ball, trace that.
This looks like a good time to take a break. We'll be back with more Beat the Champ right after this. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
Symmetric balls for me tend to be a much smoother, kind of archy kind of reaction, where the asymmetrics can give you that little extra pop sometimes. Big shot for Jayson here. There he goes. He scooched up against.
Yep, there you go. In front of the ball return.
Yeah,
he's going to shorten up his steps.
Just trying to get a little further left on the approach. Actually, I went to 3 steps. There you go.
There's something interesting to see. That's
all the
something
little things that you never used to have to worry about. But the modern bowling today, there's still a lot of older people that don't really like the modern game. And for me, I'm a guy that, for me to compete on the national tour, I don't think I can anymore because I don't have the type of game. I still feel like I could play the game well, but I can't play the way they do. And but I still can appreciate the changes, and I've done everything in my power to adapt to the changes to try and stay competitive. So it's definitely a thinking man's game. You got to think adjustments a lot more than you used to.
So when if a young aspiring bowler is in their high school, thinking about their college career, is Wichita State and Gordon still something that is effective, or has his philosophy sort of fallen behind?
I think Gordon and Bill Stroud at Nebraska, I think they've all done a really great job of staying with the current environment. All right, that shot in the 9th for Jayson really changed the complexion of this game quick.
It did, yep.
It gives Rob a quick lead here now with the ability to shut Jayson out.
And that's the difference between staying out of trouble. It's the difference between a 9 spare and a 1 single pin spare.
For Jayson, yep. Great shot there. And Jayson had 6 strikes, but he had two splits. And the count you lose on the splits when you're working on strikes, it's a lot of count you're giving up. Rob just didn't throw too many strikes, but 9 spare and
Looks to me like a strike here will
Strike here, could the strike 6 spare is going to be a lockup.
enough to win.
I think the 6 spare part would be easier for Rob right now. The strike is a little in question. And he's got 5-9 counts and 4 strikes right now, but pretty sure he's going to be around the pocket. Great shot there.
He just stays solid and bowls his game.
He's very, very impressive. I mean, like I said, he seems pretty unflappable. Goes about, his game is solid enough where he's not going to throw too many bad shots. The only thing, in a way like Chuck, I mean, Chuck's not going to miss the pocket very much, and it's just whether or not he strikes. I think that's very similar with Rob. They have 2 different kind of roles,
Right.
but similar type games. And in something like this, when you're in a 1-game match, you don't want to beat yourself by having an open frame.
Right, and I just don't see where Rob's emotions get away from him at all.
No, it's real. Wow. No sooner did I talk about it, I didn't think the 6 spare would be the tough part. There it is. This can be missed so many different ways. And now,
Just to keep it interesting.
Well, that's the great part about the game. I mean,
Yep, so he needs a spare to win. 3 opens the possibility of a tie.
I mean, years ago, Del Ballard throws one in the gutter to lose the tournament. Just had to keep it on the lane.
That.
Yeah. And there it is. Unbelievable.
All right, so we have the possibility of a tie. 3 strikes here by Jayson will give us a tie game. Anything less, and Rob will move on.
Let's see, Jayson, last frame up there.
Don't leave your TV. This is not over yet.
He snuck up ahead against in front of the ball return last time on this lane. Let's see if he does it again. I have to say he's going to have to. He's got to be far enough left on this lane. There it is.
So it's like they butt up against it and then take another step to the left?
It seems for him that's how he got it off his hand good. Just ran out of energy.
Good effort. What a great match. All right, we'll be back to talk to Jayson right after this. Great game. Jayson, a great match that took us down to the very last frame. And after watching on the right lane, you had to make a choice as to whether to move in front of that ball return or to go to urethane ball. What factored into your choices?
Well, I think I had a better reaction with the high road ball that I was using in practice. Anytime I got inside of 10 with urethane, I had a tendency to leave a lot of flat 10s. And I was trying to go with something that would strike. And I knew I had a lot of friction on the outside, so I was figuring that if I moved inside deep enough and got the ball out, it would come back. It did, except as you could see in the 10th frame, it just kind of ran out of steam.
Yeah, but that was not much. We don't see that very often where you have to stand in front of the ball return, but I know in today's game it does happen.
Yeah, I assure you, I don't do it very often either, so.
Well, you made it look like you did. You did a good job. We got some money for you.
Yeah, congratulations. Nice bowling out there. It's just tough when you have to adjust, just make small adjustments and they don't quite work out.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you kept it interesting, and we enjoyed your orange and your Team Orange, Ricky Fowler. Yep. Well, it was a great show today, and I know we'll see you again in the future. Nice bowling. Yep. And we'll be back with the next match right after this. A turn of events here is our champion decides to start the match as opposed to finishing the match.
Yep, I'm sure, in this case it probably comes down to a preference for Rob on what lane he likes. Myself, I think I would have rather had Joe finish on the right lane, just being a power player, trying to use the ball return as a little bit of defense. That was a rough start there.
So he did switch the ball. That seemed to go a little straighter, do a little left.
Yeah, Not his best shot off his hand. It looked like he got that one a little left to target. And right now, where he's playing, that part of the lane, if you get a left to target, you're asking for some trouble.
Right. And we're joined here again by Paul Mosek, our proprietor here at Lucky Lanes.
It's an interesting match so far.
Yeah, he gave you
It's been a great
kick in the knee there.
great week of shows. Unfortunately, that shot got a little left to target. Not the ideal spare you want to start to match off with.
No, that's tough coming out of the gate with that one. A lot can happen wrong with that spare. It's a difficult spare.
Test the nerves early.
Yeah.
That it will.
It's weird with the transition. One match they're out of the gate with the first 4 or 5, and then the next one you get that transition match where they're fishing around.
Yeah. Tough spare no matter what you're bowling on there.
Well, no advantage to anybody there that first frame.
No, definitely not. It's kind of like a championship fight in the first round. The guys are just throwing a couple little jabs, just trying to feel each other out first before they start taking their big swings.
Well, when you're the leadoff bowler and the champion and you open, you're like kind of breathe a sigh of relief when
you get it thrown right
no
back
one
to you.
throws the double at you to start.
Was this Joe's second appearance on Beat the Champ?
Second appearance, no wins, 1 loss. So he's trying to get his first win.
Not as familiar with the TV light situation. There was a case of trying to make sure he gave it a little bit of room, and he just kind of pushed it through the break point a little bit. Not only is bowling a tough game, but the mind plays such a big part of this.
Oh, no question at all.
You know, you're in your league and you're just kind of loose and freewheeling and stuff, and then you get into something like this, and you start thinking about things you never used to think about. And it's amazing how little thoughts in your head can just play havoc on your.
They can even happen in your approach.
Oh, all the time.
On your way up the line, you think, oh, should I do this or change that?
The worst thing is don't do this,
Yeah.
because that's when you're insured to do it.
Yeah, if there was a way to read someone's mind while they're bowling, I think I'd have some interest. You probably couldn't publish some of the stuff that goes on in my head during matches.
One of the lessons that somewhere along the way that I learned was to make your decision what you're going to do, stand up on the approach, know what you're going to do, take a deep breath and go. Do not think about anything else. Just have a plan and execute your plan. Don't think about it after that.
It's the best course of action.
Yeah.
Executing that plan is not always the easiest.
If you're committed to it, your chances are better of actually doing it. If you're second guessing it, that's when
You just have to block that little voice out. Every once
the
in a while.
chicken wing
It's
comes
just
out.
It's telling you, oh, maybe you
That
should
little
try
voice
this.
is evil.
Don't throw it right, don't throw it left. All right, where am I going to throw it then?
All right, a little rough start for Rob. A great shot there. Another 4-9. We've seen a couple of those.
Right. This game can be like that too. You can make a perfectly good shot and leave an unmakeable spare, and the next person can make a terrible shot and leave something makeable or even strike.
Or
so
strike, exactly.
you got to shake those off, because those can play on your mind too.
Why is it we always remember the bad breaks that we got, and we never remember the good ones that we get? Because we all get them. We just don't remember.
I don't remember anything. I'm the best at letting things go, honestly.
It's like Rob switched back to his other ball, got control of the pocket. I'm sure he was looking for a way to try and strike a little bit more, thinking he was going to need a little bit more this game. Right now, I'm sure he's thinking, you know, Joe's fishing a little bit yet, still trying to dial in. So let's go back to playing a little safe. Sometimes playing safe is good enough.
Well, I did in the last match when in the interview I asked Jayson why he made the decision to stand in front of the ball return, because he knew he had the decision to throw the urethane ball. So he was between the two decisions, and he made good shots. So, you know, ultimately, you know, he went with what he knew his ball reaction would be versus testing the unknown.
He threw a couple
makes
practice
sense.
shots, so he had an idea of what was going to happen if he threw the urethane. But I think in that case, at least in my mind, he had asked me if I thought he made the right move, and I thought he definitely did, because his best chance to strike, he needed 3 strikes. His
Right.
best chance to strike was going to be throwing the reactive ball from in.
Exactly.
And, if you just need a spare, maybe throw the urethane ball from the track.
I agree with you 100%.
Sometimes you just have to go for it and hope that's what
Exactly.
that's what works.
Score
And he
correction.
executed a good shot. I mean,
Yeah, he did. He made a good shot. I mean, sometimes you just gotta. All you can do is get it off your hand. Just give yourself the opportunity to strike, and sometimes it's gonna, and sometimes it's.
there's our Castellone Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. Janelle showing that
Her score is right.
Rob moved ahead in this match. An open frame will do. Actually, they both have 2 open frames.
Right now, Rob's got the count in his favor.
Right.
Joe unfortunately lost a lot of count that frame, 6 on the spare, and then getting none on the fill shot. Gave up about 7 pins in count there. There you go.
shot.
Good looking shot there.
And he knew that right off his hand.
Yeah.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
This is a time right now where Joe puts a couple of strikes together here. He can put some serious heat onto Rob. Rob's still fishing around trying to find the pocket again. Really good shot.
Really good shot.
Yeah,
It's
he was-
just covering a lot of ground.
Even though he's not carrying, he seems to have a little air of confidence now. He's throwing the ball
He looks
how
more,
he wants to. And he
definitely
looks
more
comfortable
solid.
out there.
Yeah, he looks a lot better than he did the first couple frames. Switch to his plastic ball and shoot spares. Really good idea for a lot of the stronger hook players to have something that goes a lot straighter, shoot corner pins.
16-pin lead there for Joe. Rob has a strike up though, as we see on our Castellone Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. Making Janelle do a lot of math here this match.
It's not as easy when you're just putting 30, 30, 30 all the time. This is going to be one of those games that's going to come down the last frame again. You know, too many, nobody's really dialed in. A little off balance there. Yeah, look, you just got a little out of sync on that shot.
Solid up there at all.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure either because I was a little curious what would happen because he really did keep the ball in. And
Kept it in, but it looked like his hand rotated around a little
Yeah.
quick. Ball didn't have that nice push to the right. Oh.
it's
So
just
this-
one of
this
those.
would-
I don't want it. No, you
this
have
could
it.
be-
No,
yeah.
no, you have it. I
That's
don't
why
want
I think
it.
this one could go down to the last. Could go down to the last shot.
We know they all want to go back to transit. They're all Buffalo bowlers right here. It's not a long drive for anyone.
It's a big
So this is
chance
a big
Rob
shot
to
for
take-
him. Yeah,
He can
absolutely.
take command here.
Yep.
Right now he's down 2 with a chance to take the lead.
Wow.
That one he gave him the heat. The rocket just
That's
kind of
it.
revved up a little bit on that one.
Yep. Stop finessing it.
When all else fails, just give him the fastball. Eight-pin lead now, a chance to go to 18. Here we are again in that situation.
Right.
Ninth frame, such a big frame to strike in. was trying to give it the heat on that one too, but just kind of revved up and pulled out of it. Wow, back and forth we go.
I mean, yeah, he's going to, if he makes this, he's still going to have the lead. But it's real close.
He's actually in a spot now where whether he makes it or not, Joe can go up and strike out and win the match.
Oh.
I just made the job a little easier. May not be the prettiest one, but it's still an exciting match because you're just not sure what's going to happen here.
Well, you're exactly right about that. Nobody's been able to really put it away. Looks like one gets lined up and then it's gone.
Yeah, they both had chances to really take command, and neither one was able to capitalize. That was good. That was real good.
Nice
You could just see his balance just solid. A strike here could lock the match up.
Well, it's not the score. It's just about knocking down more pins.
Doesn't matter by how many. You know,
Hey, that's a great shot when you've thrown 2 strikes for the entire game. You know, and you have to come back and lay the hammer down.
see if he can keep his tempo and rhythm in check here. Lost his balance again. Oh.
Well,
I don't think anybody
nope, that's
likes,
a win, but nobody wants to do that.
Nobody wants to do it that way, but it is part of the game. It's happened to us. It's happened against us.
You're absolutely right. So with that shot, Joe Rubrecht is
He's still going to need
not over
5
yet.
spare. and like the,
All right, we'll wait it out.
The way this game has gone,
We'll wait it out.
5 spares. No gimmies.
Looking for that looking for that first win.
Sometimes just a little break like that can really, just jumpstart a guy on his TV career. Much better shot there.
Much better shot.
And that's
All
enough.
right, that's enough for Joe to post his first win up, and we'll be back to talk to Rob and Joe and wrap up today's match right after this. Rocket Rob, you couldn't overcome that one with ball speed. What happened out there?
Oh, that was a bar fight for sure, but the lanes got a little squirrely, and I tried to find a smoother ball to use, and which the last half of the game, but I just kind of pulled the one in the 9th little and gave Joe an opening. He bowled good too, and we both had bad games, but
Yeah, it almost was like, I don't want it. No, you have it. No, I don't want it. But no, we've seen it today where, that transition happens in one of those games, and if you get hit by it, it's pretty dangerous.
yeah, you always got to try and stay ahead and look for little subtleties in ball motion. And
Well, we're done for here. You're done for the day here, and Paul's got some money for you.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Hell of a battle, and it was a battle. But nice job anyway. Thank you for bowling.
Jack?
Joe, finally got a win. I know you haven't been on TV very often, but that was like a war out there. Not the friendly kind of war, but that was just a struggle watching you guys. Lanes really looked like they got almost impossible.
They were very difficult. I haven't bowled in about 9 months or so, so now you're not really sharp, so you just hope for the best, and I came out with a win.
That's the beauty of this. It doesn't matter what the score turns out to be. Thing is just having enough at the end. I think you made some really good shots. You can tell maybe your time off, timing-wise, a little spotty on a couple of shots, but every time you posted a shot, you threw it great.
I appreciate that, but I don't know what to say. I'm kind of speechless, but let's say one thing. My dad, showed him possible. Thank you.
God bless you, man. God bless you. Awesome, Jim.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up today. When we come back from this, Jack and Janelle and I will talk about this week, and we'll talk about the upcoming match next week. Well, we've seen it all just as we expected that we would. The trials and tribulations of bowling, ups and downs. You had some scorekeeping to do that last one.
Oh my gosh, that was so different than what we're used to seeing on Beat the Champ, but they did what they had to do to overcome the obstacle that was these lane conditions.
That's right. Sometimes it's not how much you bowl, it's just knocking down the more pins than the next guy. Next week we're going to preview our doubles match, which we have some rock stars coming in here next week and battling out against each other. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it should be actually a fun, exciting show. I mean, we had a great group of guys, all great established players in the area. It'll be interesting to see how they can navigate through the rough seas that we have out here at Lucky Lanes.
Well, we're going to see Chuck Jagosinski and Mike Zarcone. I know that's a surprise. Once again against each other, they have different teammates. So tune in next week. It's going to be a very exciting match.